Welcome to Techno Sapiens.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's one of those everyday sights that, honestly, feels like it should be totally impossible. You're walking down the street, you look up, and there it is, a tiny bird just casually hanging out on a high-voltage power line. I mean, we're talking about cables carrying enough electricity to power entire neighborhoods, but the bird, it just sits there, completely unharmed.
And that forces us to ask this incredibly important question right up front. A bird can sit directly on a high-voltage power line, so why doesn't it get electrocuted? Seriously, we are looking at this fragile little creature suspended in a highly lethal environment. What invisible shield is protecting this bird from being instantly vaporized by all that current? Well, to solve this mystery, we've got to uncover some fundamental rules of electricity that govern our world.
Which brings us to Section 1, the secret of potential. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the absolute key to our bird's survival lies in something called potential difference. By definition, this is simply the voltage difference between 2 points that actually causes electric current to flow. Think of it like this. If there's no difference in voltage between 2 points, the electricity just doesn't move between them. It absolutely needs that difference to literally push the current from point A to point B.
So, when our feathered friend lands, it usually grabs on to just one single wire. And because its tiny feet are resting right next to each other on the exact same surface, they're at the exact same electrical potential. Without a difference in voltage across its body to act as that push, well, the current has absolutely zero reason to travel up and into the bird. But potential difference is really only half the equation here. To actually grasp the whole picture of the electrical engineering at play, we need our next core principle.
And that is Section 2, completing the path.
So the crucial point is this: current needs a complete path to flow. This is one of the absolute unbreakable rules of electricity. Without a closed loop, the electricity simply continues on its original, easiest route right along the wire. It doesn't take detours unless it has a full, complete path to follow. Because the bird's body isn't bridging a gap between different voltages, it acts as essentially nothing more than a tiny extension of the wire itself. With no path created, only a completely harmless, microscopic amount of current, if any at all, actually flows through it. That's why the bird can sit there safely. But what happens when these rules change? What happens when a bird gets just a little too curious, or maybe a little too clumsy, and stretches out its wings?
That brings us to Section 3, the danger zone.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact razor's edge these animals live on. Looking at the left side, we have safety. Touching one wire equals almost the exact same potential, so there's no flow. But on the right side, absolute danger. If a bird's wingspan happens to touch 2 different wires at the exact same time, the situation flips from completely safe to instantly lethal.
Boom! Suddenly, just by touching 2 wires with different voltages, a massive potential difference is introduced. A large potential difference now exists entirely across the bird's body. The bird has literally become a living bridge between a high voltage point and a low voltage point. It's created a dangerous current path, and the electricity is going to immediately surge right through it to complete the circuit. And it's super important to note here that it doesn't even have to be a second power line. The exact same catastrophic danger applies if the bird touches a live wire while simultaneously contacting the ground, or maybe a metal pole, or really any other conductor. The ground itself is at a totally different potential than the high-voltage wire. So, if a bird touches a live wire and a grounded metal beam at the same time, it creates that complete path. The electricity just instantly flows out of the high-voltage wire, straight through the bird, and down to the ground. Fun fact, actually, this exact phenomenon is why squirrels, who love stretching out between a wire and a grounded pole, are literally one of the leading causes of power outages across the country. Crazy, right? Okay, let's just slow down for a second and bring this all together, because these principles govern not just the birds up above our heads, but literally everything we plug in and turn on.
Let's look at Section 4. Electricity follows the circuit. Just to sum all of this up for you, if there's no significant potential difference, there is no dangerous current flowing through the bird. It is totally safe. But the very moment you introduce a potential difference and a complete path, the result is an instantly dangerous, lethal surge of electricity.
It all builds to this ultimate takeaway from Techno Sapiens. Electricity always follows the path created by the circuit. It really is that elegant. The electricity isn't, trying to attack the bird, it's just blindly following physics. If the bird doesn't offer a complete path between different potentials, the electricity just ignores it entirely.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Since electricity strictly follows the path created by the circuit, how else does this universal rule dictate safety and danger in the complex electrical engineering that powers the modern world all around us? Every single power outlet, appliance, and charging cable you use today operates on these exact same principles. Think about those invisible circuits you interact with every single day. Are you a part of the path, or are you safely out of the circuit? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the fascinating world around you.